those of you listening on the pod.
Welcome into hour 2, baby. Tim is on his game tonight, let me tell you. All right, next guy on the list, we're going offensive tackle here in the 91 spot on our PTA big board. Again, this is for pick 87, so let's say all those guys are gone, and this is the guy that the Packers met with, highest on our board when we pick at 87. Ozzie Trapillo out of Boston College got ties, obviously, to Jeff Hafley, who's now our defensive coordinator, just like I've seen people mentioning Donovan Ezeraku. We've talked about him like, hey, man, we would be okay with that pick as well, depending on where he goes. So I have a feeling that there's going to be at least one of these BC guys end up being a Packer. I really do. I think there's just too strong a ties there with Jeff Hafley. But Ozzie Trapillo in the 91 spot, offensive tackle, Boston College. Trapillo is a tough, physical offensive tackle with the size and strength to compete in the trenches. He's a mauler in the run game, using his leverage and grip strength to move defenders, and has shown steady improvement in pass protection throughout 2024. While he lacks elite athleticism, his technique and grit make him a reliable option. Projected as a third-round pick, Trapillo could serve as a developmental swing tackle for Green Bay with the potential to grow into a starter. Does that not sound like what we need right now? Like, seriously, you go draft a dude that he's going to step into that swing tackle spot. That would be awesome. I'm trying to think. I think it's Billy Teapot, too. Billy O'Brien is the new head coach out there. He was the guy that was in Houston and had a lot of success before he ended up taking over as GM, put too much on his plate, and then got let go. He took over for Hafley at BC. He was with New England the year before. So I guarantee you Ozzie Trapillo has gotten firsthand what it's like to be coached by an NFL head coach, if that makes sense. When you look at the PFF grades here, for Ozzie Trapillo, starting in 2021, 65.8, fell to a 61.8, jumped to a 74.9, then jumped to a 76.8 last year. The big thing that sticks out, though, Emilio, look at this RAS, man. 6'8", 316 pounds, 33-inch arms. Now, keep in mind, 33 is kind of that. I love hearing Ross Tucker talk about this. He's like, almost everybody in the NFL says you got to have arms at least 33 inches. Ross Tucker said, I'm sorry, man. If somebody is coming up a quarter of an inch short of 33 inches and they don't get drafted for that, that's just stupid. That's a guy who spent like 7-8 years in the National Football League as an offensive lineman. But, Emilio, when you look at this, man, this kind of feels like this might be a Packer here a little later in the draft.
Hey, I mean, Travis Clever controlling the ropes, baby. I think that the fact,
we're going to give him some
fact that he's 6'8" is crazy. I mean, Clay'd be walking up to him. How's the weather up there? You know, how's it going? Dude is freaky tall. But I think that's, again, going back to the Swenson thing, you have the frame to work on. You know, Hafley's met the dude. He's seen him, seen how he works as a player. And I wouldn't be opposed to it just, you know, going from there. I mean, you get him into an NFL facility, I feel like it'd be one of those Caleb Jones kind of thing. Let's see what we can do with him, see how he does. And if it doesn't work out, at least we tried it. But could you imagine if it does work out having a 6'8", tackle? I mean, Mekhi Becton went inside, and he's 6'7", right? So he played guard all last year. It's not like it's impossible.
We talked the other day about one of the greatest offensive tackles in the history of the game, and it was Jonathan Ogden coming in at 6'9", I think he was 6'8" or 6'9", if I remember correctly. So, yeah. It's funny, too. Like, I see people in the chat that's too tall. It's amazing how we go from they're too short, they're too tall. It's like, can they block? That's what I need.
Do you guys remember we had Caleb Jones? He was around 6'7", 6'8". Kadeem Telfort around that size. We had another bun that was a swing tackle that I can't remember why we let him go, but he was around 6'7". Big boys.
I can tell you those guys might have been missing the two attributes about Ozzie Trapillo that I like the most, which is extremely high FBI. And extremely good footwork for a guy his size. And I think that's what kind of gives him the edge over some of the other guys in the class. So it's a lot to like about him.
Yeah, still scoring a good composite speed grade and a good composite agility grade at 6'8", 316 is pretty impressive. I know you look at the card and go, man, it's in the sevens. That ain't that. You know, when you're talking about that big of a boy, you know his feet he's got to have awesome footwork for sure, man. Yep. So, anything else on Ozzie Trapillo that you boys may or may not have here before we move along? We're good on it?
His pops played in the NFL. His pops was an O-lineman at Boston College. So, nice. like father, like son right here.
Plus, Andy Monday already found him the best nickname, the Blizzard of Oz.
Blizzard of Oz. Let's go.
Come on.
You are a Packer, sir.
Andy
That's
Monday
just
just
good.
called it. He's a Packer.
Hell with it, Andy. We're drafting him at 23. I called it.
That's right.
This might be my favorite guy right here. Y'all ain't ready. You remember we showed you Jacob Bayer in the cowboy hat? Look at this guy right here, right? Go ahead and get him with the 6th or 7th pick, right? Get him got to have him in the clubhouse. Packers already met with him. Top 30 visit, by the way. Now imagine you go out and you say, Isaiah McDuffie's here for 2 years. We got Christian Welch for a year. Why not bring in some strong competition at linebacker, right? And who knows? This guy might take off, win that job. Christian Welch gets kicked to the practice squad. But tell me you don't want that dude in your locker room right there.
That's
We're talking
Danny?
about
that's
Danny Stutzman right there. Jacob, what did you say in our text this morning? You remember what you said about this?
Am I allowed to say it?
There's no words in it. So, yeah, I think you could say it. What did you say, Jacob? Roughly.
I believe I said something to the effect of, ain't no lady going to look at this man and not get pregnant. Something like that.
So Danny Stutzman, I'm just going to call him Danny Stetson is what I'm going to call him. So obviously played for the Sooners out there. Number 94 on our list. Danny Stutzman is an instinctive, hard-hitting linebacker who plays with a throwback style and exceptional football IQ. He's a tackling machine in the run game and has improved his coverage skills in 2024. Though he can struggle against quicker tight ends, Stutzman's leadership and tenacity make him a culture fit for the Packers defense. As a likely third-round selection, he could step in as a rotational linebacker with the upside of becoming a 3-down contributor. Also someone, you read that profile and go, put that dude on special teams screaming down the field, right?
Yep.
You look at the PFF grades, in 2021, 62.7. 2022, he fell to a 58.9, but then he started to improve. In 2023, 71.8. 2024, he climbed to 76.6. Look at the run defense grade, boys. 90.9. Yeah. Now, coverage, that's a struggle. Don't get me wrong. But imagine that dude, if you get in a little bit of trouble with injuries and you have to plug and play him in your base 4-3, he's only going to be out there for the majority of run plays, right? If someone goes out in a 12 or a 21 personnel, bring that thumper in with a 90.9 run defense grade. And, oh, by the way, just on special teams, too.
Yeah, he really just seems like an absolute perfect replacement for Isaiah McDuffie.
Yeah. Look at the size, too. 6'4", 241. Yeah. Let's see if that's what he measured at. He actually came in at 6'3". Go ahead, Jake.
No, still, I'll take that. 40 time of 4.52. Really enjoy that. 20-yard split. Everything looks good. It just really does. It looks polished.
Yeah.
You gotta love a stack backer that just wants to go out there and hit somebody, right? Yeah. Like that. Kind of like the Bobby Boucher factor, He just wants
tackling fuel.
Tackling
fuel,
That hat right there gives me tackling fuel.
I'll take the lower coverage grade, because we're not asking him to do that very often. And right. I think Jacob hit it on the head. And just like you mentioned, Clayton, it's great that we've got Zay McDuffie back in the fold for the next couple of years. But, moving forward, Stutzman is the type of dude you want to put out there behind a guy like that, especially with us losing that veteran presence of Eric Wilson back there. So we got Quay, we got Coop, we got McDuffie. You bring a guy like this in the mix, plus we got Tyron Hopper still working in the fold. Linebacker room looks really good with a guy like this, especially if you're talking third round.
Yeah. Emilio, how do you feel about it, man? Danny Stutzman here at 87. Would you be all right with it?
94 overall season, 3 card Clay. I'll take that. But no, yeah, he's a real good linebacker on the inside. Wants to play downhill, wants to get in the backfield. Be a disruptor. Coming from Oklahoma, I think that's huge. I like that he's got a vertical. Kind of don't love that he didn't run the agility and match that with his coverage grade being a little sus. I think that's an issue probably in man and, floating the zones. But for what we would ask him to do, coming in, being the outside 3, either weak or strong side and go from there, I wouldn't be opposed to bringing in a guy like Stutzman who had, a good college career. You can get him back in here. And I love the fact that he played in basically every snap he could, played, defense, special teams everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously with Goody having some of his guys already meet with him, I imagine it was at a pro day or maybe even, I don't know if he's at the combine. Yeah, obviously he was at the combine. I don't think these are pro day measurements. So they've shown some interest in Stutzman. And it's just like the whole tight end conversation with Musgrave, right? Like, well, we got Musgrave. Why do we need a tight end? Do we not remember Quay Walker getting banged up? Do we not remember Edgerrin Cooper being injured coming out of camp?
Yeah.
Like, injuries happen. And you're building –
especially the linebackers and tight ends, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, when you're building your roster from the bottom up, that's what you're looking at. It's like you're looking to improve that linebacker. I know we signed Christian Welch, but it doesn't mean Christian Welch is going to be on the 53-man roster. We thought he was a slam dunk last year, and what happened? They literally kicked him out the building, right? Yeah. So you go and draft someone like him. And again, if the stars align, it makes sense. This might be this would be a great 4th round pick. We're just showing he's in that range of players that the Packers met with and where they sit on our PTA big board. So I would be all about it, man. You talk about wanting to build that culture and bring those thumpers in there. I could see this being a dude if you took him in the 3rd to 5th round and he's on special teams for a couple years, for a year and a half, 2 years. He works himself into the nickel defense eventually, whether if you move on from Quay later on or because of injuries. And then the next thing you know, you look up in 5 or 6 years and you're like, this dude just overcame everything and he's a stud. Like when you play the game fearless, like it talks about him playing, and you got the height of 6'3" at an inside linebacker position, like you can't coach that. That's something with 4.52 speed. And oh, by the way, a 90 run defense grade. I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of value there. I really do. So we'll see if it all falls into place for Danny Stutzman. It says all 5 players offer skills that align with Green Bay's roster needs, and their interactions with the Packers during the draft process signal real interest. Which do you like the most of these 5? Let us know in our favorite draft prospects chat here on Patreon. So that's where you can find that article. It is now archived under 3rd round prospects. If you guys go to collections, you'll see all the different organized information that we have on there for you guys and gals. So anything else on this list, boys, before we wrap this segment up? Anything at all? We can scroll back up, down, whatever y'all want to see.
Good. No, I think that's a pretty good breakdown right there.
Are we going to do that for rounds 4 and 5 as well, possibly?
I think we should, man. I think it's really interesting because, again, it's showing where they're hitting on our board. We can kind of talk about where they're projected. There's a lot of different angles we could take, and it's just learning about prospects that the Packers are showing genuine interest in. I think it's huge. So, we'll continue to do that then. All right, next talking point here. This is interesting. Baz kind of hit on it a little bit earlier. You know, his opinion is he thinks Jaire's gone, right? And that's what I'm saying, man. You can go talk to 10 different Packer fans, and you'll probably get maybe 6 or 7 on one side or 3 or 4 on the other, right? It's like nobody's sold one way or the other in terms of like the group as a collective, I guess you could say. So we had a little bit of new information that kind of dropped from the Jaire situation. So I did, the other day we went through and talked about the off the field stuff, and we talked about the injury history. Like, how did we get to this point? Well, let's just give you guys a quick update on what's going on there with Jaire. Is he staying in Green Bay, right? And it's Buckets Goldenberg working overtime again.
So Buckets Goldenberg, live from the news desk.
Jaire's future with the Green Bay Packers remains uncertain, but recent signs suggest the star cornerback might stay for 2025. After months of trade rumors, new developments hint at a possible reunion. The trade market for Alexander has been quiet despite the Packers exploring options. No major interest has emerged from other teams. With a $24.99 million cap hit in 2025 and injuries limiting him to 16 games over 2 seasons, suitors may be wary. This lack of buzz could push general manager Brian Gutekunst to keep him, especially without a strong trade return. That's the thing that Goody keeps saying is like, we want to make sure the investment we've made, we get a return on that investment. What he's saying here, in my opinion, if we don't get a return, his ass is playing for Green Bay is the way I take it. Like, if you cut him outright, you don't get anything in return for it.
Right.
That guaranteed money that you gave him was just, all right, it's out the door. You took a bath. That's the way it goes, right? So there's just a quick breakdown of the contract. Like it says, a 24.9 cap hit. Now it goes on to say this was as reported by Easton Butler on Twitter. Alexander has also shown goodwill toward new teammate after the Packers signed Nate Hobbs to a 4-year, $48 million deal. Alexander reached out to congratulate him. This move suggests he's still invested in the team, not distancing himself as a departing player might. Hobbs could pair well with Alexander in a revamped secondary if he stays. So Easton Butler put that out. New Packers cornerback Nate Hobbs recently spoke to the Athletics' own Matt Schneidman. Hobbs mentioned who reached out to him. Yeah, X reached out to me. Rashawn Gary, Jaire Alexander actually congratulated me. And yeah, those guys so far as what Nate Hobbs said to Matt Schneidman. So you got Goody saying we got to get enough in return. They specifically asked Goody, do you think there's a chance he could play for him? He said, yeah, I think that's on the table. He didn't close the door. Now, would he close the door? Absolutely not. That would be stupid. That would be bad business. If he said, nope, Jaire ain't playing here, teams would go, all right, we're just going to wait for you to cut him then. And that could still happen. I'm not saying it's off the table. Moving along here. Meanwhile, this is what broke today. Safety Xavier McKinney posted an Instagram video of him training with Alexander this offseason. McKinney, a defensive leader, and after a stellar 2024, shares a clear bond with Alexander. Fans on X have flagged this workout as evidence he may stick around, as disrupting that chemistry could be costly. I don't know if you guys seen the video, but it was awesome. And listen, Jaire looks like he might have put on a few pounds of muscle. I'm just telling you. Like, he's always been kind of a thicker corner, kind of like we talked about Jahdae Barron. But in this video, I was like, that boy been on the bench. So I don't know. I want to get your all's take on this with him reaching out to Hobbs, Goody saying, hey, it's still on the table, and now McKinney posting this video of them working out together. Like, am I the only one going, it sure seems like there's more signs pointing to Ja could return than there is Ja's gone. I don't know how y'all feel about that. I want to get your all's take, and then we'll move along here and talk about the cap ramifications and all that. Let's start with you, Emilio. What do you think about this, man? Do you think go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I still think that he's playing. If they didn't figure out the money situation, like, he is still a part of this team. He's still under contract. I don't understand why would we cut him and lose $15 million. I mean, that's rough. I'd much rather ride it out. I think it was 3013 put up a tweet earlier. It was like the NFC North cornerback matchups, and it was John and Hobbs, and they're roughly around 77s, I think. But that combo would be crazy. We wouldn't have to worry about our secondary. We could get Evan and Bullard in there as we needed. We would have, depth. We'd have a lot more depth if Josh stayed, especially him, having that relationship with X, having the relationship with anybody in that room.
All right. Yep. Yeah, Coach Lynn says seems to be that way. 2-0 for this says, I think the videos are more the boys doing internal recruiting to show how much they want him to stay. I could see that too, Jacob. What do you think, man?
I think that's actually a good point. I think that we looked at what happened and the lack of leadership in this locker room for years prior. And Josh Jacobs and X came in and they said, all right, we're going to fill that void. So I think you saw clearly what Jacobs was doing in the offseason, maybe poking and prodding in certain situations to try to make people light a fire under their butt, if you will. I think that X may be doing something similar on the defensive side of the ball, saying, all right, y'all, let's go out. Let's make some plays. Let's go, have some fun, get the camaraderie together. I do agree as well. It's like, it just seems like such a tap dance for Ja to be doing where he's reaching out to Nate Hobbs. He's going to hang out with X. He's doing a bunch of stuff where, like, why? I can understand. Yeah, maybe it is because for him to show, hey, I'm not a cancer. I'm still here. I'm the one that still wants to be here. The Packers are the ones that maybe aren't giving me my time of day. That sort of, I could see that being his angle as well. But like you said, now I've been going so far back. At one point in this year, I thought there was a 5% chance that Ja would come back. I went back and the other other side of the spectrum, I've been like, man, it's like 60-40, and now I'm right back to 50-50. I got not a damn clue. I don't.
Yeah. Coach Lynn, Tim, he says, if you're Ja, why would you not want to play with this secondary? It seems like they're creating something special, man. With what X did numbers-wise last year and Carrington Valentine coming on strong at the end of the year, you go and get this dog. Nate Hobbs seems like he's going to be a firecracker. I'm excited to see him play football in Green Bay, but I completely understand what Coach is saying here, Tim. Like, why if you're Ja, you got to be looking up now going, damn, do I really want to go to Carolina or somewhere where it's like, yeah. You know what I mean? Not even competing, like, because that's his hometown, right? Charlotte. Yep. But if I remember correctly, but why would you want to go somewhere else and be a part of? It seems like they got something special here. I guess what Coach is saying.
Yeah, and I would agree. I mean, Ja's never said he didn't want to play in the secondary, right? I mean, That's just pure speculation on a lot of us fans, kind of reading into this. And I'm with Jacob too. You know, I've been 50-50 on him throughout this whole process because I don't know what's going to happen, right? Because ultimately Goody's got to make a decision here or not make a decision and let him play football for the Packers. He's under contract. That being said, you know, an explanation for a lot of this could be something that I don't think a lot of us have really talked about or considered is the fact that maybe Jaire's like growing the hell up a little bit. You know, like you talk about the suspensions, you talk about the antics of the past. And if you look at, you know, from, you know, the I don't have nothing nice to say comments during locker room cleanout last year to where he is today, you know, the guy's probably maturing a little bit. And I think he realizes what's going on here with not only the secondary in Green Bay, but this defense as a whole under Jeff Hafley. And why would you want to not be a part of this just when the, you know, things are starting to click and starting to make sense? I also agree with the statement that, we have more depth with Jaire on this football team. I believe that was Emilio that brought that up. I mean, you look at, you know, who we got, you know, behind a guy like Jaire and guys that we may potentially draft. We've broken down several corners that could be potential draft hits for us. You still got a wild card in Kalen King, who didn't see much of the field last year, but another guy that we were kind of excited about in that corner room. So I think it would be perfectly content to continue to play in Green Bay. It's just we already know that they haven't reached out to him for a restructure. It hasn't been discussed. So this could be one of those, like, you know, prove it seasons, you know, and he's under contract. If he balls out this year, maybe we do restructure. Maybe we do figure out how to keep him around until he hangs it up. If not, you move on, right? Bottom line, I do. I think he wants to be a Packer. I think that's evident with the way that he reached out to Nate Hobbs pretty much instantly after that was announced. Probably before it was announced publicly to guys like us. He was probably on the phone already welcoming him in. And then you see the bond he's forming here with McKinney. I mean, let's be real. You talk about the captains of that defense on the back end. It's Jaire Alexander and Xavier McKinney. Those are your veteran dudes in this secondary. And I think we're a better team with them playing together.
Yeah, completely agree. 2-0 for this says Keyshawn Nixon also tagged Jaire in an Insta story of him working out as well. Deadfish says a healthy job means this defense make this defense seem scary. Just need another D tackle and fill in some reserves. Completely agree. How about the fact that Baz mentioned, man, I think we should go defensive tackle. We were all like, thank you.
I know.
Been saying that since freaking January. So 2-0 for this says if it's more Jaire's camp that's wanting to leave, then the teammates showing him he's appreciated is super important. It really is.
Yep.
It is. And again, Goody's just keeping the cards close to the vest. Yeah, you know, I think that's on the table. He could come back. Again, I wouldn't roll out anything at this point, right?
Yep.
I think it's fair to say too, just real quick, that Goody, like you just said, Clay, he's doing, he's sitting there like Chris Moneymaker with his sunglasses on, waiting for somebody else to either call or to say something or to make a move, or for Jaire to say something or make a move, or for somebody to say, like you said, he even is willing to wait past the draft. And then a certain player maybe that they thought was going to fall to him. Certain teams thought we don't need help in the secondary. We don't have to stretch. We don't have to make even the call to Brian Gutekunst and even make a proposal. He's cool. I really do believe with just chilling and waiting and let the cards fall as they may, because at the end of the day, worst case scenario, he's got Jaire by the, you know what?
He does, man.
He really does. And I just think everybody's sitting here just, Goody's got to do this. He's got to do that. I think he's sitting there with the emoji, with the sunglasses, with the whole spliff. And he's like, I don't give a crap what y'all do.
It's true, man. It's true. J. Cole says if Jaba's in and then we add Trey Amos, say 54 in this draft, then the secondary could be. Could you imagine that secondary, Emilio? You'd have Jaire on one side. You'd have Nate Hobbs and Keyshawn Nixon battling for a spot on the other. Trey Amos stepping into camp. He may be a superstar day one. Who knows? And then, of course, you got Carrington Valentine, who, had the best passer rating when targeted of anybody on the team last year.
Right.
Like, you could get into that situation where it's like, we've got two spots open. That's the reality. There's two cornerback spots open, even if Ja returns to the Packers, right? So with that being said, it's like you add Trey Amos into that cornerback room, Emilio.
Yeah, I would be running to Jeff Halfley and say, you better get to work, man. I need 110% out of whatever DB whisperer you are, and just get to work. Because if we have that kind of secondary, that's really going to open up the front four. And if we can get pressure with 4 and still be able to cover with 7, once in a while bring 5, cover with 6, but having the confidence to be able to leave a guy out there on an island or if we wanted to bring a blitz, being able to do that stuff without having to worry about having the safety net over the top, I think that would be crazy.
Definitely. And remind me, Trey Amos here in a second, okay? Don't let me forget that. We'll finish this up real quick. Packers GM Brian Gutekunst hasn't ruled out Alexander's return either at the NFL spring meetings on March 31st, 2025. He said, quote, "It could be a possibility, absolutely," when asked about Jaire staying. He hopes for clarity before the draft, signaling flexibility. This contrasts with earlier talk of a fractured relationship, hinting at the Packers might retain him. Alexander's time in Green Bay has been turbulent, elite when healthy, but marred by injuries and a 2023 suspension. Trading him before June 1st saves $6.9 million in cap space. Post June 1, it's $17.1 million per over the cap. Yet with no trade suitors and Alexander engaging with the team, keeping him could make sense. Paired with McKinney and Hobbs, he could lift the defense to new heights. Says Gutekunst faces a choice: hold out for a trade or lean into Alexander's recent actions and the lack of interest elsewhere. The decision could define the Packers' 2025 season. You know what it kind of feels like to me, Tim? Remember the Rasul Douglas trade? Yep. Goody said, I don't want to trade him. He said, I didn't want to trade him, but at some point the offer becomes too good, right? That hasn't happened with Jaire, right? So it kind of feels like that same situation. He's approaching that the same exact way, and it's like, hey, look, we haven't gotten the offer we want yet. Just like with Rasul, they probably would have kept him if the best the offer was a 6th-round pick, right?
Right.
So
I agree. And then in the meantime, what are we doing? We're bringing another talent. We're continuing to get better at the position group. We're in a good spot. We're in a good spot with that cornerback room. Not a great spot, but a good spot, with or without Ja in the mix. Right. We've played this scenario out both ways, right? We just talked about how great it would be, if Ja was still in the fold with the guys that we've brought in and the guys we may potentially bring in. Same scenario if Ja's traded or he's a post-June 1 cut or whatever it is. You still feel pretty good about your DBs in Green Bay, which is, again, I'm old enough to remember when we were ready to beat down the doors at 1265, begging for cornerbacks. So this is a good spot either way.
Yeah. And I remember us talking about this last year. You know how every year leading up to the draft, the Packers social media team will put out prospect spotlights. Look who today's was, just so happens. Trey Amos.
Here's the guy.
I immediately was like, Today's player is. So go check that out. Prospect Primer over there. Look like presented by American Family Insurance over on Packers.com. It's just we've been talking Trey Amos at 54, then all of a sudden the Packers pop that up, and I'm like, man. And I don't think it's them going, hey, guys, get ready. We're going to draft Trey Amos. I think they're doing the same thing we're doing with the social media team. The social media team is not going to Matt LaFleur and going, hey, what do you think? That's not happening. They're reading the tea leaves too and like putting out these prospect spotlights. Like you haven't seen them spotlight any quarterbacks, right? You haven't seen them spotlight any running backs.
Yep.
Looking at the same type of stuff we are in terms of information. So I don't know. I think that's kind of cool, man. So, all right, we got one more article to get to. Anything else you guys want to add to the Jaire talk? Anything else? I think we've covered it.
Tell you, Pack is back.
You heard it from a fan right here.
Perfect. Smooth job. All right. So this came down the pike earlier today, and you guys helped me confirm, is this official? That's the one thing I could not get. Was this rule change actually, or not really a rule change, but this chain gang change actually official? What I did was I read multiple articles. I took all the articles, compiled them together, and said, hey, give me the most important information from these 5 or 6 different articles. And here's what we came up with. I didn't do it. Bucket Skoldenberg did. Okay. And here's what we got. NFL set to swap chains for cameras with Hawkeye Tech in 2025. It's what we've been talking about. Like I want the calls to be right on the field. We got supposedly we can hit a damn asteroid however many miles away with something the size of a Volkswagen, but we can't figure out if something was a first down or not. You know what I mean? Like, this is ridiculous. So here's what we got. The NFL is ditching its century-old chain crew tradition for a high-tech alternative to measure first downs starting in the 2025 season. Sony revealed this week that its Hawkeye system, a camera-driven technology, will take over as the league's go-to method for tracking the line to gain. This isn't Hawkeye's first rodeo. It got a test drive during a handful of 2024 preseason games. Now it's ready for the big leagues, rolling out across every NFL stadium and even international venues next year. The setup relies on 6 8K cameras to follow. That sounds like Jacob's bedroom. 6 8K cameras to follow the ball's every move. Shut up, Amelia. Look at you up there. Delivering pinpoint accuracy on whether a team has earned a fresh set of downs. Sony's announcement highlighted that fans won't be left guessing. Virtual renderings of the measurement will pop up on TV broadcasts and stadium screens. So they're going to add some kind of virtual aspect to this, which I think is absolutely awesome. Meanwhile, the classic chain gang isn't disappearing entirely. They'll stick around on the sidelines as a backup just in case. Do you guys remember this game right here where they actually had to slide a piece of paper in to see if they met the first down or not? You remember that, Tim? I was like, what the hell is he doing with an index? What are we doing out here? So anyway.
I've also seen a million times that the side judge comes in, spots the ball, and then they bring the chain gang out, and then the official moves the ball backwards 4 inches. And
right.
So, you know.
But dude, that drives me nuts when the guy that's spotting the ball is running from 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and he's like, yeah, I got a good view from where I was back there from behind it on a completely bad angle. And then, like you said, you just watch the other line judge just walk up and he goes, just places it like 6 inches away. You're like, what? How was this efficient?
Did somebody from New York call him in the earpiece and tell him to move that ball back?
That's what I think.
It's what you wonder. But my question in all of this is, I do like the fact that at least they're not like physically removing the chain gang from the sideline, and that they're still going to be there as a
but isn't that kind of degrading? They're just sitting there like,
no. Well, that's my question is, because you got to remember, like, the sticks help the players on the field too. You can see the line.
Definitely.
So them still being there is good. My question is, does that change review or challenges? So like you throw the red flag and say, hey, bring the chains out, or are we just going to trust the league to just voluntarily bring the chains out on occasion? You know, that would be my question. How does this affect, the replay rules or the challenges?
Yeah, 2-0 for this in the chat said, it's like the camera in Michael and Jan's bedroom at the dinner party. I told you to put that away. Such a good episode. The dinner party episode.
The $100 plasma TV.
We just pushed it in. God, it's so good. I need to watch that tonight. All right, continuing on here. The system still leans on refs to spot the ball by hand after each play. Well, that's awful nice. So when they don't have a robot running it out there. But Hawkeye steps in to make the final call on first downs. According to NFL Network's Mike Garafolo, the league found that the old chain method took about 75 seconds per measurement, while the virtual approach slashes that time to 30 seconds, a win for pace and precision. For over 100 years, chains and markers ruled the gridiron, manned by part-time crew members earning minimum wage. Really? As noted by ESPN's Kyle Bonagura and Chris Rim. That's crazy. So these are people that actually reported they're only getting paid minimum wage to run the chain gang. That's wild.
What?
Now this tech upgrade marks a new chapter building on the NFL's partnership with Sony that kicked off in 2024. And that's not all Sony's bringing to the table. Coaches will also get upgraded sideline headsets in 2025, complete with noise-canceling features, a step up from the older model. This is wild. Hat tip to the CNET's David Katzmeyer for that detail. So there you go. What do y'all think about it, boys? I think this is a good thing. I really do.
I mean, it's called Hawkeye. Does that mean anybody drafted from Iowa gets an advantage in the?
That's right. It's weird to me that basically it's Dwight Schrute's Computron is now running the NFL. Like you just punch in.
A-Fam said the chain gang should be working for free. What the hell's wrong with you, A-Fam? Like, you think these people ain't like? Let's get you out there with that mustache, sir. How about that on the sideline?
I also like from what it said there. I like that it's not every single play. We're not relying on the the computer to spot the ball. Like, all right, ref, get out there, spot it, because I think we lose a lot of time in first down to second down playing if you're trying to hurry up, that sort of stuff. Like that is just that just confirming a first down measurement looks like.
Yeah, look at this. Deadfish says Doge is firing the chain.
Dang.
Drew D says Hawkeye is what they use in tennis. Cool, I didn't know that.
And that's a big deal because they've used that for years in tennis, and tennis was the big, no, we don't want any AI in our tennis game. And it came out to be like, because that's within a fraction of a centimeter, you know what I mean, as far as whether it's in line or out line, love, whatever the heck they say over there. What comes
over
after
there, over there as if tennis is played in one country.
Yeah, that's a strictly European sport, obviously. All right. Clearly.
I love it. Oh, Jacob, I swear I love you, man. All right. Moving along here. Is there anything else you guys want to add to that conversation right there? Anything at all?
I mean, Clayton, you're a baseball guy. I mean, this reminds me a lot of the strike zone and the pitch tracking.
Now that Angel Hernandez or whatever the heck that guy is out of the league, I don't think we have to worry about human influence. You remember who I'm talking about? Yeah, the worst of all time. Was it Angel Hernandez or Angel? It was Angel something. He was the worst, to the point where the announcers would be like, "Oh, you can't do that. You can't make that call." It was terrible.
No, Tim, you're spot on though, dude. You're spot on. Like it's you got the technology to get the call right. Get the call right, and it just goes back to what we talk about, Tim. Like, does the league really want to get it right, or do they want to have that little bit of bend, a little bit of flexibility? Right, that's what it kind of feels like.
Yep. And it doesn't matter. I mean, if they're more accurate and they're still gonna use enhanced replay and do extended reviews and double and triple check and then get the call wrong anyway because they want to influence the outcome of a game, then we're doing all this for a whole lot of nothing,
Yeah, that's a great point. All right, so I'm excited about it again, man. I've seen some people being negative online. I'm like, I don't understand why this is a negative thing. This is something that's going to make the calls more accurate, and that's all I want to know. I know you've been playing college football 25, man. You got that first down. It comes up 4th and inches. You're like, come on.
Oh, my God. He passed the line. He already fell forward, and the dude just gets pushed. Sometimes that game is glitchy, man. But I do like that, we're taking a little bit out of the refs that we already get mad at to begin with. We don't want the replacement ref situation again. I think that at some point we had to make an advancement, in the technology for the game. I'm glad they made the jump for it. It's just, if it gets out of hand, we need to reel it in. But I think it's a perfect start.
You're so right about the replacement refs, right? Russell Wilson, the only quarterback in NFL history to throw a game-winning interception.
That is so bad, dude.
Crazy.
Hardy the Prophet with the super chat. Thank you, sir. He says, I'm cool if Hawkeyes get a boost. Let's go LVN. Hawkeyes fan in the house. So here's the video and thank you for that super chat, Hardy. Appreciate you, buddy. This was the video that was actually posted on Instagram earlier today. Check out Jai. He's still got that same energy.
You see it, man? Yeah.
Gotta love the John Wall dance there. Did you see that? We right there. Look, get the little flex going. It's Emilio on the dance floor on Saturday night right there, man. You kidding me?
I think you're right though. He bulked up a little bit, and I'm wondering if the logic is, hey, make yourself a little more impervious to the wear and tear of playing the position. Ja's dealt with a lot of nagging injuries. Put a little more meat on the bones. Never know, man. This could be that year for him.
Could be, man. Could be. And again, I just want what's best for the Packers. If we can get a solid draft pick in return, and he wants to move on, it's best for both parties. Great. If there's not an offer out there, it seems like both sides may be mature and go, "Hey, look, man, this best thing is just stay here." That could be the case. Us emotional fans, we look at it different. Like, no, he got suspended. Or the others are like, Goody's an idiot. It's like they're just sitting back probably going, yeah, man, we'll see what works out best for both of us. They're probably on good terms in that regard. So I don't know. We'll see, though, man. We'll see. So I'm getting car sick here watching this.
Yeah, seriously.
All right. Anything else, gents? I think we covered everything, man. We stayed on time. We got to talk to Baz. How was Baz tonight, man? That was awesome.
That was cool.
Love that,
yeah. I wish I would have known.
A lot of information inside of 20 minutes. That was great.
Yeah. He's so good at what he does, man. And for you guys don't know his story, he started his YouTube channel when he's in high school. And he just put together highlight reels of the Packers, huge Packer fan, and just slowly build it. He's been doing this a long time. And again, that's why when I reached out to him, I was like, hey, man, would you like to come on the show? You know what he said to me? Nobody's ever asked me to go on the show. I'm like, really? Like, you got one of the most successful YouTube channels there is for Packers. Just so humble. And you heard him what he said, just in his draft coverage. He's not a know-it-all. He's awesome.
He just likes it. It's just fun.
Yeah, exactly. Some people need to try that. They need to smile more. They need to stop trying to act so damn cool, because we know when you're not around other people, I promise you're not at the house going, yeah, I look cool. You're miserable like the rest of us. How about smiling?
I wish you guys would have told me, though, because I wouldn't have put my Oval Office tag and J Money there. I feel like Jim.
It's pronounced job money.
Thank you. I feel like Jim when he wore the tuxedo and Charles Miner shows up and he's like, why didn't you tell? He's like, you look dynamite. What are you worried about?
For my next trick, I'll make my career disappear.
All right, rapid fire real quick. Just a little bit more information here from Easton Butler, and we'll get out. Hawaii defensive back Cam Stone met with the Packers at his pro day. He was praised there for his footwork and ball skills. I know we already updated this, I'm pretty sure, Emilio, so we're good to go there. That's another DB that's on the radar. And then we had a couple more here I'll rattle through. This one came out of New Hampshire. I don't think we covered this one yet. We talked about it, I think, offline last night. New Hampshire DB / what's RS? Why am I missing that? Like, what is RS?
Return specialist.
There you go. Thank you. Caleb Mead spoke with the Packers and Patriots at his pro day. So we got a couple New Hampshire guys coming out of the woodwork here. And the second one out of New Hampshire, this is going to piss Daryl off. Quarterback, really? They met with quarterback Seth Morgan out of New Hampshire. Packers.
Here's the guy.
So might potentially be one of those practice squad guys that you want to throw in there and start developing. Might be the next Sean Clifford if they decide to move on from him or something. So there we go. Oh, look at that. SDM40 says Baz already tweeted about the weird bearded porn addict on PTA. Jacobs, they got you. They got you, man.
Should have known.
It happens.
You know what?
All right. Anything else, fellas?
God, no.
How do you follow that, right?
You just end the show. That's all.
I mean, I guess one quick, we could just shout out to J. Cole. It feels good to make it another year on this earth. Happy birthday, J. Cole.
You know what we need to do for J. Cole since it's his birthday, Tim? Let's hit him with that remix tonight as we end the show. You want to? That's what we're going to start doing for birthday. People are going to start lying about their birthday. Get that song tuned up for us, Tim. Me and Tim's going to bring us home. I'll get it to Tim.
How many times are you going to come to my press conference late?
My knee. Get ready to go.
Duval.
Who?
Sit your butt outside.
Cheese curds in my stomach hurt all the time, but I do eat them.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Happy birthday.
Just the tip, though.
All right. We're out, guys. Hit that like, hit subscribe, whether you're on Rumble, YouTube, X, or Facebook. Appreciate everything you guys do. And, we'll catch y'all tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central for PTA Live. As of right now, everything should line up, and we'll do that. Also, if you're a member of the Patreon group, at least a $3 tier, giving away this autographed Javon Bullard rookie card this Saturday night. So make sure you're in the Patreon group. All kinds of extra content in there. Emilio keeps updating the board for everyone. It's funny. Did you see him in the chat earlier today, Emilio? They went, we need a legend for this board. We don't know what all these symbols mean.
Well, it'll be the next edition. Yeah.
Yeah, probably need to do that.
We'll put a legend together.
I threw it in a message real quick. And I think I got it right. I probably should have checked with you, to be honest with you. So, all right. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Everybody have a great night. Take care.
Let me go. We out.
Bye, guys.